telepathic conversation with your specific person. Make them think about you. Have you ever suddenly thought about someone, only to receive a message from them moments later? Have you ever felt an unexplainable connection with a specific person, as though your minds were communicating beyond words, beyond distance, and beyond physical reality? What if I told you that this connection is far more powerful than most people realize? What if the conversations you are having in your mind right now are shaping the conversations you will eventually have in your reality? Today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating and powerful manifestation techniques: telepathic conversation with your specific person. This is not about chasing, begging, forcing, or manipulating anyone. It is about understanding the incredible power of your consciousness and learning how to use your imagination to create the relationship you desire. The truth is, every relationship begins in the mind. Every interaction first exists as a thought before it becomes a physical experience. The outer world is simply reflecting the assumptions, beliefs, and inner conversations that you consistently entertain. Most people spend their days worrying about what their specific person is thinking. They wonder if they are being missed, remembered, or desired. But what if you have been asking the wrong question? Instead of asking what they are thinking about you, what if you started deciding what they are thinking about you? What if you began assuming that they cannot stop thinking about you, that they feel drawn toward you, and that they are constantly feeling your presence in their life? The moment you shift from uncertainty to certainty, everything begins to change. Your imagination is not merely a place where fantasies live. It is the creative workshop of your reality. Every image, every assumption, and every inner conversation leaves an impression upon your subconscious mind. When those impressions become dominant, the external world has no choice but to mirror them back to you. This means that the loving conversations you have in your imagination today can become the loving messages, calls, and encounters you experience tomorrow. As you listen to this message, I invite you to release all doubts, all fears, and all limiting beliefs about what is possible. Open your mind to the possibility that there is an invisible connection between you and your specific person. Open your heart to the possibility that your thoughts are more powerful than you have ever imagined. Because by the end of this speech, you will understand how to use telepathic conversation to align your energy, transform your assumptions, and become the person your specific person naturally thinks about, desires, and feels irresistibly drawn toward. The journey begins now. Take a deep breath, focus your attention, and prepare to discover the extraordinary power hidden within your own mind. Your thoughts are constantly broadcasting energy, every moment of every day. Whether you realize it or not, you are broadcasting energy through your thoughts. Your mind is never truly silent. It is constantly generating images, conversations, assumptions, expectations, and beliefs about yourself, your life, and the people around you. Most people underestimate the power of these mental activities because they cannot physically see them. Yet, some of the most powerful forces in existence are invisible. You cannot see gravity, but it affects everything. You cannot see radio waves, yet they carry messages across continents. In the same way, your thoughts carry energetic information that influences your experience of reality. When it comes to your specific person, every thought you repeatedly entertain becomes a signal that you send into the deeper levels of consciousness. This is why it is so important to become aware of the conversations taking place within your own mind. Many people spend their days thinking from a place of fear. They wonder why their specific person has not texted them. They replay old arguments. They imagine rejection, distance, and separation. Without realizing it, they continue broadcasting the very reality they do not want. The subconscious mind does not judge whether a thought is positive or negative. It simply accepts whatever is repeated with emotion and consistency. If you constantly imagine being ignored, you strengthen the assumption that you are ignored. If you constantly imagine being forgotten, you strengthen the belief that you are forgotten. The outer world then begins reflecting those assumptions back to you. This is why changing your inner world is the first step toward changing your external circumstances. Think about how often you talk to your specific person in your imagination. Most people do it naturally without even noticing. They imagine future conversations, replay past interactions, and mentally respond to situations that have not happened yet. These inner conversations may seem insignificant, but they are actually shaping your expectations and emotional state. If every imagined conversation ends with disappointment, your subconscious begins to accept disappointment as normal. However, if you intentionally create conversations filled with love, appreciation, and affection, you start impressing a completely different reality upon your subconscious mind. You begin planting seeds that can eventually grow into physical experiences. Imagine waking up each morning and hearing your specific person say, "I can't stop thinking about you." Imagine hearing them say, "You mean so much to me," or "I love talking to you," or "I'm so grateful you're in my life." At first, these conversations may feel imaginary, but the subconscious mind responds feeling more than facts. It responds to what feels real. The more vividly and consistently you engage in these loving inner conversations, the more natural they become. Over time, they stop feeling like wishes and start feeling like truths. This shift is incredibly powerful because reality tends to mirror what you accept as true within yourself. The key is not to force anything. Telepathic conversation is not about desperately trying to make someone think about you. Desperation creates resistance because it comes from the belief that you do not already have what you desire. Instead, approach these inner conversations with calm confidence. Assume that there is already a connection. Assume that your specific person is already moving toward you, emotionally, mentally, and energetically. Speak to them in your imagination as though the relationship you desire already exists. Let your inner dialogue reflect the reality you want to experience, rather than the reality you are trying to escape. What makes this process even more powerful is the emotional energy behind your thoughts. Emotion acts like a magnifier. A thought charged with genuine feeling carries far greater influence than a thought repeated mechanically. When you imagine your specific person thinking about you, do not merely repeat words. Feel the warmth of being remembered. Feel the excitement of being valued. Feel the comfort of knowing you are important. These emotions help convince your subconscious mind that the experience is already real. Once your subconscious accepts something as real, it begins guiding your perceptions, behaviors, and circumstances in ways that align with that belief. Remember, your mind is always broadcasting something. The question is not whether you are sending a signal. The question is what kind of signal you are sending. Are you broadcasting fear or confidence, lack or abundance, rejection or love, distance or connection? Every thought is contributing to the story you are telling yourself about your specific person. When you consciously choose thoughts that support your desired outcome, you reclaim your creative power. You stop reacting to appearances and start shaping them. You stop waiting for evidence and begin creating it from within. The moment you understand that your thoughts are constantly broadcasting energy, you gain a new level of responsibility and freedom. You realize that your inner conversations matter. You realize that your imagination is not your enemy but your greatest ally. Most importantly, you realize that the connection you seek does not begin with a text message, a phone call, or a meeting. It begins within your own consciousness. And when your inner world becomes filled with love, certainty, and expectation, the outer world often finds remarkable ways to reflect those qualities back to you. Inner conversations create outer responses. One of the greatest secrets to transforming any relationship is understanding that the conversations taking place within your mind are often more important than the conversations taking place in the physical world. Most people believe that reality creates their thoughts, but in truth, your dominant thoughts and assumptions play a powerful role in shaping the reality you experience. Every day, you are having countless inner conversations. You may be imagining what your specific person thinks about you, predicting how they will respond, replaying old memories, or mentally preparing for future interactions. These internal dialogues seem private, but they are continuously influencing your emotions, expectations, behaviors, and ultimately the circumstances that unfold in your life. If you want your specific person to think about you differently, respond to you differently, or show up differently, the transformation must first begin within your own mind. Consider for a moment how often people create negative scenarios without realizing it. They imagine their specific person losing interest, choosing someone else, becoming distant, or forgetting about them. They mentally rehearse rejection long before any rejection has actually occurred. Then, when they experience circumstances that seem to confirm those fears, they believe the outer world caused their thoughts. In reality, the inner conversation was setting the emotional and psychological foundation long before the physical evidence appeared. The subconscious mind accepts repeated mental impressions as instructions. Whatever you repeatedly tell yourself about a relationship eventually becomes the lens through which you view that relationship. If your inner conversations are filled with doubt, uncertainty, and fear, those emotions begin influencing every action you take and every interpretation you make. The beautiful truth is that this same principle can work in your favor. Imagine replacing those fearful conversations with empowering ones. Imagine hearing your specific person say, "I love talking to you. I think about you all the time. You make me happy." Or, "I feel so connected to you." At first, these words may feel like imagination, but remember that every reality begins as an idea. Every relationship starts as a thought before it becomes an experience. When you consistently engage in loving inner conversations, you are creating a new mental blueprint. You are teaching your subconscious mind what you expect to receive, and over time, those expectations become your natural state of being. Many people make the mistake of focusing only on external actions. They check social media, wait for messages, analyze every interaction, and search for signs that their manifestation is working. However, true change begins before any external evidence appears. The inner world is always the cause, and the outer world is the effect. When you master your inner conversations, you stop allowing external circumstances to dictate your emotional state. Instead, you begin living from the assumption that your desired outcome is already unfolding. You no longer react to temporary appearances because you understand that the deeper creative process is taking place within consciousness itself. Think about someone who is absolutely convinced they are loved and valued. Notice how differently they carry themselves. They are more relaxed, more confident, and more secure. Their energy naturally reflects their assumption. Now compare that to someone who constantly fears abandonment or rejection. Their actions are often driven by anxiety and uncertainty. The difference is not merely in behavior, it begins with the conversations they are having internally. The first person continually reinforces feelings of love and worthiness, while the second reinforces fear and lack. As a result, they experience very different realities. This demonstrates the incredible influence of inner dialogue on the relationships we create and maintain. When practicing telepathic conversation with your specific person, it is important to make those inner conversations natural and enjoyable. Do not treat them as a desperate attempt to force an outcome. Instead, approach them as if you are already experiencing the relationship you desire. Imagine your specific person reaching out to you. Imagine them expressing affection, appreciation, and excitement. Hear their voice as clearly as possible. Feel the emotions associated with those words. Let yourself experience the joy of being loved and chosen. The more real these conversations feel emotionally, the more deeply they impress themselves upon the subconscious mind. Another important aspect of inner conversations is persistence. Many people practice for a few days and then return to old patterns of doubt when they do not immediately see results. However, the subconscious mind responds to repetition. Just as a seed takes time to grow after it is planted, new assumptions require consistency before they fully manifest in the external world. Every time you choose a loving conversation instead of a fearful one, you strengthen the reality you wish to experience. Every time you refuse to entertain thoughts of rejection and instead focus on connection, you reinforce a new belief system. Ultimately, your specific person is not responding only to your words and actions. They are responding to the version of them that exists within your consciousness. If you constantly see them as distant, unavailable, or uninterested, that image becomes dominant. But if you consistently imagine them as loving, attentive, and emotionally connected to you, that image begins to take root in your subconscious mind. As it does, your energy changes, your expectations change, and your experiences begin to change as well. This is why inner conversations are so powerful. They are not merely fantasies, they are creative acts. They are the mental rehearsals of future experiences, and when practiced with faith, consistency, and emotional conviction, they can become the bridge between the reality you desire and the reality you eventually live. Emotional intensity strengthens telepathic connection. If thoughts are the message, then emotions are the power source that gives those messages strength. Many people attempt manifestation and telepathic communication by simply repeating affirmations or visualizing scenes without truly feeling them. While thoughts are important, it is emotion that brings those thoughts to life. Emotion transforms a simple idea into an experience. It is the difference between imagining something casually and feeling as though it is happening right now. When it comes to creating a telepathic connection with your specific person, emotional intensity plays a vital role because the subconscious mind responds most strongly to feelings. It is not moved by empty words nearly as much as it is moved by genuine emotional conviction. Think about the moments in your life that you remember most clearly. Chances are they were moments filled with strong emotion, whether they were joyful, exciting, heartbreaking, or inspiring. The emotions attached to those experiences made them unforgettable. The subconscious mind works in a similar way. It records and prioritizes experiences that carry emotional significance. This means that when you imagine a conversation with your specific person, the emotions you feel during that imagined interaction are incredibly important. If you merely repeat words without feeling, the impression remains weak. But when you genuinely feel loved, appreciated, desired, and connected, the subconscious mind begins accepting those feelings as evidence of reality. Unfortunately, many people unknowingly use this principle against themselves. They spend hours feeling worried, anxious, lonely, and rejected. They imagine worst-case scenarios and emotionally react to situations that have not even happened. Because those emotions are strong, the subconscious mind receives those impressions deeply. Over time, those feelings become familiar and begin shaping expectations. This is why it is so important to become conscious of the emotions you are feeding. Every emotional reaction is reinforcing a particular story. The question is whether that story supports the reality you desire or the reality you fear. When practicing telepathic conversation with your specific person, your goal is not simply to think positive thoughts. Your goal is to emotionally experience the relationship as though it already exists. Imagine your specific person sending you a loving message. Do not just see the message in your mind. Feel the excitement that would rush through you if it appeared on your phone right now. Imagine hearing them say, "I can't stop thinking about you." Feel the warmth, happiness, and confidence that those words would create. Imagine them expressing their affection, appreciation, and desire to be with you. Allow yourself to experience those emotions fully. Let them become real within your heart and mind. One of the most powerful truths about emotion is that your subconscious mind cannot always distinguish between a vividly imagined emotional experience and a physical one. This is why movies can make you cry even though you know the story is fictional. This is why dreams can feel real while you are experiencing them. Your emotions respond to what you focus on. When you intentionally create emotional experiences in your imagination, you are training your subconscious mind to accept a new reality. You are becoming emotionally familiar with the outcome you desire instead of remaining emotionally attached to the outcome you fear. Another important aspect of emotional intensity is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the highest emotional states because it implies that something valuable has already been received. When you feel grateful for your connection with your specific person before physical evidence appears, You are sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind. You are acting from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. This shift from wanting to having is where true transformation begins. Instead of longing for love, you begin feeling loved. Instead of hoping for connection, you begin feeling connected. Instead of waiting for validation, you begin experiencing it internally. Confidence also amplifies emotional power. Many people engage in telepathic conversations while secretly doubting whether anything is happening. They speak loving words in their imagination, but immediately follow them with thoughts of uncertainty. This creates conflicting signals. Confidence, however, creates clarity. When you assume that your specific person is thinking about you, remembering you, and feeling drawn toward you, your emotional state becomes more stable and focused. You are no longer sending mixed messages to your subconscious mind. You are reinforcing one clear assumption again and again until it becomes your dominant belief. It is also important to understand that emotional intensity does not mean emotional desperation. Desperation is rooted in fear and lack. It says, I need this to happen because I don't feel complete without it. Genuine emotional alignment is different. It comes from a place of certainty and trust. It says, I know this connection exists, and I am enjoying the feeling of it now. One energy pushes and chases, while the other attracts and allows. The more relaxed and confident your emotions become, the more naturally you align with the reality you desire. As you continue practicing telepathic conversations, remember that your feelings are shaping the experience far more than your words alone. Every time you choose love over fear, confidence over doubt, and gratitude over frustration, you strengthen your connection to the version of reality you wish to experience. Emotions are the language of the subconscious mind. They are the fuel behind every manifestation and the force that transforms imagination into experience. When you combine clear intention with genuine emotional conviction, you create a powerful inner reality. And it is often from that inner reality that the outer world begins to reflect extraordinary changes, bringing you closer to the connection, communication, and relationship you desire with your specific person. Assume they are already thinking about you. One of the most powerful shifts you can make in your manifestation journey is to stop asking whether your specific person is thinking about you and start assuming that they already are. Most people spend their time searching for proof. They check their phone repeatedly, analyze every social media update, and look for signs that their specific person is interested. Unfortunately, this constant search for evidence often reinforces the feeling that something is missing. It places attention on the absence of what is desired rather than the presence of it. The law of assumption teaches a completely different approach. Instead of waiting for reality to convince you, you begin convincing yourself. You choose to assume that the connection already exists, that your specific person already thinks about you, and that they are already being drawn toward you. This assumption becomes the foundation upon which your new reality is built. Every manifestation begins with an assumption. Before anything appears in the external world, it first exists as a belief, expectation, or mental acceptance within consciousness. Think about how often your assumptions influence your daily experiences. If you assume someone enjoys your company, you naturally interact with them differently. If you assume success is possible, you approach opportunities with greater confidence. Likewise, if you assume that your specific person is constantly thinking about you, missing you, and feeling connected to you, that assumption begins affecting your emotions, your behavior, and your entire state of being. Instead of feeling anxious and uncertain, you begin feeling calm and secure because your inner reality has changed. Many people struggle with this concept because they believe assumptions should be based on evidence. They think they must first see results before they can believe. However, manifestation often works in the opposite direction. You assume first, and then reality gradually reflects that assumption. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending circumstances do not exist. It means choosing not to allow current circumstances to define your future. It means understanding that today's circumstances may simply be the result of yesterday's assumptions. If assumptions helped create your current experience, then new assumptions can help create a new one. Imagine waking up each morning with the certainty that your specific person has been thinking about you. Imagine carrying that assumption throughout your good day. You are no longer wondering if they miss you, because in your mind, they already do. You are no longer questioning whether they remember you, because in your imagination, they already are remembering you. This shift changes everything. The energy of waiting disappears. The energy of chasing disappears. Instead, you begin embodying the feeling of someone who is already valued, desired, and remembered. This emotional shift alone can be incredibly transformative. One of the most effective ways to strengthen this assumption is through inner conversations. Throughout the day, imagine your specific person telling you how much they think about you. Hear them saying, "You were on my mind all day," or "I don't know why, but I keep thinking about you." Allow these conversations to feel natural. Do not force them. Let them become enjoyable mental experiences that reinforce your desired assumption. Over time, these inner dialogues begin replacing old stories of separation and doubt. Your subconscious mind starts accepting the new narrative as normal and familiar. Another important aspect of assumption is consistency. Many people assume something positive for a few minutes and then spend the rest of the day worrying. Unfortunately, the dominant assumption is usually the one that wins. This is why persistence matters. Whenever doubts arise, gently redirect your attention. Whenever fear tries to convince you that nothing is happening, return to your chosen assumption. Remind yourself that unseen changes often occur before visible results appear. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean movement is not taking place. Seeds grow beneath the surface long before they break through the soil. Confidence grows as assumptions become familiar. At first, assuming that your specific person is constantly thinking about you may feel unnatural. That is perfectly normal. Any new belief feels unfamiliar in the beginning. However, repetition creates familiarity. The more often you return to the assumption, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you stop trying to believe it because it simply feels true. This is the point where many people begin noticing significant shifts in their reality. Their emotional state stabilizes, their confidence increases, their interactions improve, opportunities and circumstances start appearing in unexpected ways. It is also important to understand that assuming your specific person is thinking about you is not about controlling another human being. It is about changing your relationship with your own consciousness. You are choosing a new story. You are deciding to focus on connection rather than separation, possibility rather than limitation, and love rather than fear. By doing so, you create an inner environment that supports your desired outcome. You stop feeding the reality you do not want and begin nourishing the reality you do want. Ultimately, the power of assumption lies in its ability to shift your identity. You are no longer the person wondering whether they are remembered. You become the person who knows they are unforgettable. You are no longer the person hoping to be valued. You become the person who assumes they already are. This inner transformation is where manifestation truly begins. When you consistently assume that your specific person is thinking about you, missing you, and feeling drawn toward you, you align yourself with a completely different reality. And as that assumption takes root within your subconscious mind, the outer world often begins finding ways to mirror it back to you in ways that seem almost magical. Persistence creates the manifestation. If there is one quality that separates those who achieve their desired manifestation from those who give up too soon, it is persistence. Many people begin their journey with excitement and hope. They practice telepathic conversations, visualize their specific person thinking about them, and affirm that love and connection are already theirs. For a few days, they feel inspired and confident. But then they look at their physical reality and see no immediate changes. The text message has not arrived, the phone has not rung, the circumstances appear exactly the same as before. In that moment, many people abandon the very assumptions they were trying to build. They return to doubt, fear, and frustration. Yet what they fail to realize is that manifestation is often not determined by how intensely you believe for a single day, but by how consistently you maintain your assumption over time. Persistence is what transforms a temporary thought into a dominant belief, and a dominant belief into a lived experience. Think about a gardener planting a seed. The moment the seed enters the soil, the process has already begun. However, no one expects a flower to appear the next morning. The gardener understands that growth is taking place beneath the surface. Roots are forming, development is occurring, and progress is happening even though it cannot yet be seen. Manifestation works in much the same way. The moment you begin assuming that your specific person is thinking about you, missing you, and feeling drawn toward you, a new seed is planted within your subconscious mind. That seed requires nourishment. It requires repetition, faith, and consistency. Digging it up every day to check whether it is growing only delays the process. One of the greatest challenges people face is reacting to appearances. They allow temporary circumstances to determine their emotional state. If their specific person does not respond immediately, they assume nothing is happening. If they encounter silence, they interpret it as rejection. If they see something that contradicts their desire, they abandon their assumptions altogether. But persistence requires a different mindset. It requires the ability to remain faithful to your inner reality, even when external evidence has not yet caught up. It means understanding that the outer world often reflects past assumptions, while your current assumptions are creating future experiences. When practicing telepathic conversations, persistence means returning to your desired story again and again. It means hearing your specific person express love, appreciation, and connection, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It means continuing to imagine positive outcomes instead of returning to old fears. Every time you choose the new story over the old one, you strengthen it. Every time you refuse to feed doubt and instead nourish confidence, you deepen the impression upon your subconscious mind. This repeated reinforcement gradually changes what feels natural and believable. Many people mistakenly believe that persistence is about forcing something to happen. In reality, persistence is about maintaining alignment with the reality you desire. It is not struggle, it is consistency. Imagine listening to a favorite song repeatedly. At first, the lyrics may seem unfamiliar, but after hearing them enough times, you know every word without effort. The same thing happens with assumptions. The more often you repeat a loving and empowering story about your specific person, the more familiar it becomes. Eventually, it feels natural. Once it feels natural, it becomes easier to believe. Once it becomes believable, it begins influencing your behavior, emotions, and experiences in profound ways. Another important aspect of persistence is emotional stability. Many people experience emotional highs and lows because they tie their happiness to external results. They feel wonderful when they notice a sign and discouraged when they do not. However, true persistence develops when you learn to generate your desired feelings from within. Instead of waiting for your specific person to make you feel loved, you cultivate feelings of love internally. Instead of waiting for reassurance, you become your own source of certainty. This emotional independence creates a powerful state of attraction because it shifts your focus from needing results to embodying the reality you desire. Dupin Bissant also teaches patience. In a world that values instant gratification, patience can seem difficult. Yet some of the most meaningful transformations require time. Personal growth takes time. Relationships take time. New beliefs take time. The subconscious mind changes through repetition and reinforcement. Every loving inner conversation, every positive assumption, and every moment spent dwelling in the feeling of connection contributes to the process. Even when results are not immediately visible, your persistence is building momentum beneath the surface. There will likely be moments when doubt appears. There may be days when old fears try to return. This is completely normal. Persistence does not mean never experiencing doubt. It means refusing to live in doubt. It means acknowledging the fear and then consciously returning to your chosen assumption. It means deciding that your temporary emotions will not dictate your permanent beliefs. The person who persists is not necessarily the one who never struggles. It is the one who keeps returning to the desired state despite the struggle. As you continue your journey of telepathic connection with your specific person, remember that every manifestation is ultimately a reflection of the assumptions you consistently maintain. A single positive thought may inspire you, but persistent positive assumptions transform you. Every day you remain faithful to your desired reality, you are strengthening the bridge between imagination and experience. Every day you choose belief over fear, love over doubt, and connection over separation, you move closer to embodying the reality you seek. Dr. Vincent is the invisible force that turns possibility into probability and probability into certainty. It is the commitment to continue believing even when evidence is not yet visible. It is the decision to trust your inner world more than temporary appearances. And when you persist long enough, your assumptions cease to be wishes. They become expectations. Those expectations become beliefs. And those beliefs eventually become the reality you experience. That is why persistence is not simply part of manifestation, it is the very pathway through which manifestation comes to life.